Niranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Ho Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Ho Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 1st chapter, questions by Vidura. And we're reading text 28 and 29, and then we will chant text 30. Kaccit varūthādhipatir yadūnāṁ pradyumnaḥ sukham aṅga vīraḥ yam Rukmiṇī bhagavato bhilebhe ārādhya viprān smaram ādi-sarge. O Uddhava, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmiṇī bore him as her son from Lord Kṛṣṇa, by the grace of brāhmaṇas whom she pleased. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Smara, that's purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Smara, Cupid or Kamadev, is one of the eternal associates of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Jiva Goswami has explained this very elaborately in his treatise, Krishna Sandarbha. 29. Kaccit sukham satvata vrishni bhojata sharhakanam adhipaksa āste yama vyasinchach chatapatra netro nripasanashang pariritya durat. O my friend, tell me whether Ugrasena, the king of the Sattvatas, Vrishnis, Bhojas, and Dasharhas, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne. But Lord Kṛṣṇa again installed him. Text 30. Kaccid hare saumya sutta sadriksha. Kaccid hare saumya sutta sadriksha. Āste graniratinang sadhu sambha. Āste graniratinam sadhu sambha. Asutayam jambavati varūthādhya. Asutayam jambavati varūthādhya. Devam guham yom bhikaya dritogre. Devam guham yom bhikaya dritogre. Kaccid hare saumya sutta sadriksha. Āste graniratinam sadhu sambha. Asutayam jambavati varūthādhya. Devam guham yom bhikaya dritogre. Ladies. Saumya sutta sadriksha kaccit, whether, Hare, of the Personality of Godhead, Saumya, O grave one, Sutaha, son, Sadrikshaha, similar, āste, fares well, agrani, foremost, ratīnāṁ, of the warriors, sadhu, well-behaved, sambha, samba, asuta, gave birth, yam, whom, jambavati, a queen of Lord Kṛṣṇa's, varūthādhiya, enriched by vows, devam, the demigod, guham, of the name Kartikeya, yaha, whom, ambikaya, unto the wife of Shiva, drita, born, agre, in the previous birth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the Personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya, in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva, and now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Kṛṣṇa. Purport. Lord Shiva, one of the three qualitative incarnations of the Personality of Godhead, is the plenary expansion of the Lord. Kartikeya, born of him, is on the level of Pradyumna, another son of Lord Kṛṣṇa. When Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa descends into the material world, all his plenary portions also appear with him to exhibit different functions of the Lord. But for the pastimes at Vrindavan, all functions are performed by the Lord's different plenary expansions. Vasudeva is a plenary expansion of Narayan. When the Lord appeared as Vasudeva before Devaki and Vasudeva, he appeared in his capacity as Narayan. Similarly, all the demigods of the heavenly kingdom appeared as associates of the Lord in the forms of Pradyumna, Samba, Uddhava, etc. It is learned here that Kamadev appeared as Pradyumna, Kartikeya as Samba, and one of the Vasus as Uddhava. All of them served in their different capacities in order to enrich the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam bangum langayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So here Vidura is questioning Uddhava, and he's posing a long list of questions asking about the welfare of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. As Srila Prabhupada pointed out in just a few purports ago, I don't know if you picked up on that, Vidura already knew that all these personalities had left the planet. So why did he ask this question? Prabhupada says that it was not because of a practical, but more because of a psychological reason. In other words, Vidura needed to process. He needed to come to terms with the Lord's disappearance and with the disappearance of the Lord's associates. He already knew what had happened at Prabhas. He was informed of what transpired. Yet, for him, the separation of the Lord was so intense that the only way to process, the only way to cope, the only way to live through this experience of separation was to remember and to question, to discuss about Krishna and his associates. So that is what we are seeing here in these verses. Ete changsakala pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indradi Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Juge Juge. The Lord appears time and time again in order to show his pastimes in this world, and he does not appear alone, because the Lord is always accompanied by his associates, by his sangha, āṅga, and ashtras, by his different expansions, his potencies, his plenary expansions, and his partial expansions. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi-radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the source of all incarnations. Now, because Krishna is, there's a lot of troop movement here. Can you settle somehow? Thank you. Now, because Krishna is the supreme actor and he's also the supreme orchestrator, so when he appears, naturally, he wants to appear with his whole team. Now, who would you choose? Well, the Lord of Death, right? That's a good person to have on your team, isn't it? Right? The Lord of War, the Lord of Love. Krishna has them all. Now, Vidura is no one else than Yamaraj. When Vidura felt ousted from the palace, when he was facing this perennial scenario, when you feel that you're disowned by your family, by your community, by your country. Have you ever felt like that? Or is it just me? It will happen to everyone at some point in their life, that they realize that it's me and the Lord, and there's nobody else here. And he went, what did he do? He's Yamaraj. He could have just taken care of business, right? But that's not what he did. He went on a long japa walk. How long? 20 years.
20 years. Why? Because he knew the plan of the Lord, and he was happy to play his part in the Lord's plan. That is the nature of pure devotees. They know the plan of the Lord, and they're happy to play their part in the plan of the Lord. Vidura was certainly more than qualified to right all the wrongs, to settle all the scores, to chastise, to instruct, but he chose not to do so. He chose to act his role, which was that of the sadhu. And he went and he performed a pilgrim's progress. He went out and he traveled to holy places and he glorified the Lord, and he came back for one lecture, for one talk. And after that, he went to the Himalayas to ensure that his older brother would actually achieve liberation. So that is Vidura's example. Now, Vidura is so dear to the Lord that Kṛṣṇa, while leaving this world, remembered Vidura and cried tears of ecstasy, remembering Vidura. Vidura was so dear to Kṛṣṇa that Kṛṣṇa regularly visited his home. One time, Kṛṣṇa came to Vidura's home. Vidura was not home. His wife was there. And she was so stunned in ecstasy when she saw the Lord. She wanted to offer him something. So she peeled the banana. She threw away the banana and she offered Kṛṣṇa the peel. And Kṛṣṇa ate it. And he was very pleased. Because Kṛṣṇa is bhavagrahi janardhan. Kṛṣṇa accepts the essence of our devotion, of our offering, which should be our love. Just like here, we could go into technicalities. Okay, how does this work? Plenary expansion. How does the demigod portion get into Samba and into Pradyumna? And then how does it leave again? At what point does it leave? And how much percentage is there? Or we could try to understand what is the mood that is being exemplified here. And the mood is a mood of intense separation. Vidura is in intense separation of his Lord and an intense separation of the Lord's devotees. And the only way how to live through this, the only way how to process this, is to talk about his worshipful Lord and the Lord's associates, his family members, his companions, glorifying them. And in this way, the union is very strong. The union is very intense. So, the devotees of the Lord know the plan of the Lord, and they're happy to act in whichever capacity the Lord wants them to act in. When I got back to Mayapur a few days ago, I went on my regular walk, and I walked past the Grihastha area, and I looked up, and I saw that no one was there. Normally, Radha Madhava Devi Dasi, or she was known as Āradhya Devi Dasi, she used to always sit up there on the balcony and chant japa. So I knew that she was not here anymore. Now, I know her from the beginning because her son Vishwadev Prabhu is a dear friend of mine, and we joined at similar times. And she would always cook for the deities and for the devotees, wherever she was. Do you remember the mango cakes that she made? Do you remember the Hari balls? Yeah? Even if you ate a cookie that she made, you would remember it because it was memorable. She knew how to show her love to Kṛṣṇa through cooking and baking. She knew who she was, and she was happy to play her role. I remember she was on every farm that we had in Switzerland, and at one farm they had the revolutionary idea of only eating what they would grow on the farm. Can you imagine this kind of revolutionary idea? It's quite, right? It's quite revolutionary. But there wasn't that much that grew at that point. So she would cook a feast from topinambur. Have you heard of, you know what topinambur is? It's like a kind of low-grade potato. It's nothing very spectacular. But she would make a feast with that, and it was memorable. Now, she was always very unassuming, very humble. She faced plenty of hardship in her own life. I never saw her or heard her say one critique. She never complained, and she never critiqued, even though she was senior to everyone. Why? Because she knew the Lord's plan, and she was happy to play her role. And she was confident in Krishna's plan, and she knew that one day we would all grow up. That's how I felt. And it was very assuring. It was very comforting. So on Bhadra Purnima, just about 2 months ago, she got up, she washed herself, she sat down with her deities and their Shilas, and she chanted Hare Krishna, and she left. Perfect life, perfect departure. Now, for those of you who have ever been to her apartment, it was like the spiritual world. There was deities, and there was Shilas, and I used to take devotees there, and it just blew their minds. Have you been up there? And I thought, what will happen to all these Shilas? What will happen to all these deities? And her son told me that within 3 days, every deity found a devotee, found a place. Every Shila found his devotee. So she lived a perfect life. Now, I walk by that house every day, and I look up, and she's there, even though she has moved on. Another person that I like to remember is Haravapu Prabhu. He's from Germany. He was a simple devotee. He was collecting for various projects, traveling around the world, supporting Srila Prabhupada's mission. Yet his joy, his pleasure in life was to cook for the devotees. And he went out of his way to invite devotees and to cook feasts for them, especially lasagna, and to make sure that they were exceedingly pleased by his service. So, the devotees, he was not a scholar, he was not a very known devotee, but everyone remembers him with love. Why? Because he was always in a service attitude, and he was always very grateful to be in the association of devotees. So that is the criteria for entering Krishna's pastime. To be grateful to be in the association of devotees, and to be willing to play whichever part Krishna wants us to play. Now, if we think I can only be the prima ballerina, I can only be the first dancer or the first fiddle, or I can only be the one who critiques or chastises others, maybe we'll not be on the team. Maybe it will take a little more refinement. Maybe it will take some time before we can also participate in the Lord's pastimes more closely. So here we see Vidura glorifying Krishna and glorifying Krishna's devotees, and that is very memorable. Now in Krishna book, we hear the story in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, what happened with Samba, what happened with the other sons of Krishna. But the mood that we're hearing here in these verses of the Bhagavatam is a mood of service and separation. And that is the mood of our sampradaya, vipralamba, because sambhog or union is very rarely experienced. And when it is very short, yet service and separation is the baseline or the foundational mood of our sampradaya. And as we are experiencing more and more of this separation from the devotees. So we will also learn the art to appreciate more and more service and separation to Krishna. And we will realize that in that separation, the union is so intense, is so magnified, that it is practically non-different. In fact, it is maybe even more intense than union. Because when you lose something, then your absorption in that object becomes even greater than when you're there. And that is true for people, that is true for situations, that is true for objects. You almost become mad, you almost become obsessed. So the Bhagavatam is teaching us these fundamentals of Krishna consciousness. And by hearing the Bhagavatam and by discussing it in the association of devotees, we can enter into the mood of Krishna. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, they comment that Vidura got so emotional asking these questions that he was not going according to sequence. He started out with Krishna, then he asked about Ugrasena, and then he went to a junior. Who did he go to? Samba, right? So he was all over the place. Why? Because his emotions were so high. His feelings of separations were so high that he was not going according to the usual sequence. So Krishna appreciates the love and devotion, the intensity of the emotion of the devotees. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, every day he would take darshan of Lord Jagannath from the Garuda Stamba. After his first visit to the temple, where he kind of lost it and wanted to embrace the Lord, and he fainted and went into ecstasy. From then onwards, under the advice of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he would just keep some distance and take darshan from the Garuda Stamba, which is quite a distance away from the altar. Now one time, Lord Chaitanya was there and he was gazing on his worshipful Lord, standing very close to Garuda Stamba. There was a village woman from Orissa, and because of the crowds, she could not get proper darshan. So what did she do? She climbed Garuda Stamba, and she also climbed Lord Chaitanya. So she was standing one foot on Lord Chaitanya's shoulder and the other foot on Garuda Stamba, holding on to Garuda Stamba. Govinda, Lord Chaitanya's servant, he chastised her and told her to get down immediately. And then Lord Chaitanya chastised Govinda and said, "You uncivilized person, can't you see the eagerness, the fervor, the devotion of this lady? I wish I had that much devotion, that much love, that much dedication for my worshipful Lord." And he appreciated her eagerness, her sincerity. Just like in the temple room sometimes. You see the stampede when the ghee lamp comes around? And some people just lose it. And they put their elbows out. And they just start running. And they just floor everything that comes their way to get to their ghee lamp. Now, of course, if you do that in bhava, in full devotion, then haribol. But sometimes we should also be a little conscientious of our surroundings. But of course, we can see here how there's a higher truth than the truth and that is pure love. And that is exemplified here by Vidura, who in great ecstasy, in great love, in great separation, is recalling Krishna, Krishna's associates, and Krishna's devotees. Hare Krishna. Questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, how we can know our role in this moment? What is our role? If we know our role, then we will satisfied whatever we are doing. So how we can know that?
Shushushro shradhanasya vasudevaktaruchi syanmahat sevayo vipro punyatirtha nishevana. By hearing in the association of devotees, we enter into the mood of what is devotional service. And by emulating the example of the pure devotees, by following in their footsteps, we will also gain entrance into the secret of bhakti. Otherwise we may think, oh, I'm here just to tick off my attendance sheet. Now, okay, you ticked off your attendance sheet, you can go. I mean, prasadam is not happening, but you can go. You fulfilled your duty, right? But life is more than just carbohydrates and fats and, it's more than just getting by. If we are not able to enter and to gain access into the mood of the Lord and the Lord's pure devotees, then we kind of miss out on what we're here for. What is Krishna's particular plan for us? Krishna will reveal that to us when we're ready. What does it mean to be ready? It means I'm willing to accept my role. I'm willing to play according to my role. I stop playing games. I stop pretending. I stop imitating. I stop trying to show off. I stop trying to do all those things that are just prolonging my stay here in this world. Krishna is willing to play. Yet the question is, are we willing to participate in his play? Or do we want to still play our game? Sometimes people come and they steal books. It's always funny. We had a leadership seminar in Pune, and we went out with 50 up-and-coming leaders, so we had a 5-day seminar on book distribution, and then, of course, we go out and do Harinam. So we walked 3 kilometers to the next bus stand. I didn't know it was 3 kilometers. They say, it's just down the road, So we walked 3 kilometers in the night, and it's dark, and it's really a bad road over a bridge, and those of you who know, you know. But we finally got there, and we were just chanting and dancing and distributing books. And then there was 2 gentlemen. And when I approached them, they wanted to touch not my feet, but my leg, like they do out of respect. You've seen that thing? I think it's an Indian thing, right? When I'm like, why are you touching my leg? And then I gave them the book, and then I asked them for a donation, and they said, Jai Bharat! And they just started walking away. And I'm like, no, it's time to pay now, like, it's okay, you do the respect thing and all that, but now now comes your part. Now you should play your part and contribute, And they had their own idea. They had their own thing in mind, and they just walked away. So I always think it's funny because you think you can steal something from Krishna? See how far you're going to get. Try. I mean, try. Just take it. Go. See how far you can get. I was in Russia, and I met two young devotees. I asked them, how did you join the movement? They said, we're not going to tell. I said, okay, tell me later. So they said, you know, we were thieves. And they were thieves. They were a team. One was distracting the person at the book table, and the other one stole the book. And they said, we were very happy. We got this nice book. Then we started reading it. Then we came to the temple. And now it's 10 years later. Because it's heavy interest, you know? Like you steal from Krishna, you have to pay back with a lot of interest. Huh? So Radha Madhava Devi, she was not one of the illustrious, well-known devotees of this movement. But she had impact. And she's remembered today. Because she knew Krishna's plan. And she was happy to play her part. And she had faith in Krishna's plan. And she knew that one day we would all grow up. Other questions? Yes.
Prabhuji, you told this mood about separation, you know, feeling that separation and serving. So, Prabhu, how do we understand? Like, suppose there is physical association and there is separation. So, there are opportunities where you can have physical association and there are opportunities where you cannot have physical association. So, in the opportunities where we don't have physical association, we can develop that mood of separation. But there are some times where you're doing some service and there is chance of getting physical association also. But then the thing comes that physical association, or should I just serve in the background? Or how do we see all these things? How do we decide?
What does physical association mean?
Like suppose, like
is it not service?
It is also service.
Well, hopefully it is.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you're just hanging out, you know. I was in one temple and the temple president said, we should do wrestling. And I said, no, we should not do wrestling. Because, first of all, I don't wrestle. I used to play ice hockey, but not anymore. But I don't wrestle. So, physical association should also be service. If there's no service attitude, then it's not really association. It's like riding in general compartment in a train. There is, you know, there's a lot of close proximity, but it's not that type of association that we're talking about here. So if there is not service attitude, then just being in physical close proximity does not really qualify. So we have to understand what is association. And then we'll also realize how service and separation and Vani Seva, serving the mood and mission of Guru, is actually non-different from Vapu Seva, from serving the Guru, because they're intrinsically the same and you can't separate the two. But Vapu is only very short and only rarely available, whereas Vani Seva is eternal. And that is what we should imbibe, and that is what we should actually dedicate our lives to. Srila Prabhupada met his Guru maybe a dozen times. He was not a prominent player in the Gaudiya Math. But because he imbibed the mood and mission of his Guru, and he was totally dedicated to Vani Seva, he became fully empowered to spread Krishna consciousness all throughout the world. Sometimes we get into this attitude, well, who came, oh, you joined 3 days after me, you know, you eternally gonna be my junior. You've seen this. And the guy with the ghee lamp, he goes around with a long list of protocol, who is senior, who is junior. And he's zigzagging throughout the temple room, right? Trying to not to commit any offense. Have you seen this? It's kind of funny, isn't it? Like a new person, no, you don't touch the ghee lamp now, you know? The old guy will get upset. So, but we should be happy to play our role. Yes, if you need some junior, we're happy. We're happy to be your junior. Other questions? Yes. Mataji in the back, and then Prabhuji in the center.
Hare Krishna. Sometimes some devotees, they say, oh, we don't need varnashram. We chant Hare Krishna and follow the principles, and that's enough. But like yesterday we were reading in the shloka that...
How does the connection come with this verse? Questions should be related to the verse or to the topic that is being discussed today. Varnashram is not being part of the discussion, so we should learn how to be focused. So either you ask questions on the verse or on the topic that has been discussed in today's class.
Because Vidura, he didn't reply according to the, let's say, the general...
Seniority.
Sorry?
Seniority.
Seniority.
Yes.
So...
I'm just trying to make the connection. I'm not trying to oppose you. I'm just trying to get where you're coming from.
No, my point is that we see in these dealings of these devotees how they always practice varnashram, actually. They always practice the seniority, the certain rules of society. They practice that. So I was just wondering how, if we would say we don't need varnashram, then how are we going to deal with one another as devotees? How can we at all avoid varnashram or these rules of seniority, etc.? Is it at all possible?
Yes, it is possible. When we become pure devotees, not only will we follow the law of the land, not only will we follow varnashram, but we will follow the supreme dharma, parodharma, which is pure love of Krishna. Which is that we not only respect seniority, but we respect every living entity, and we respect everybody in their relationship with Krishna. Because sometimes the law of the land, or even the law of seniority, does not do justice to the law of spiritual advancement. Just to give you an example. When Parikshit was cursed to die within 7 days, he sat on the bank of the Ganges and fasted. Everybody heard about it, even though it was pre-internet. Everybody showed up, and I mean everybody showed up, because this was big news. This was breaking news. The king is going to end his life in 7 days. He said, that's it, and he sat on the bank of the river. And everybody showed up. Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, everybody. And they all wondered, so okay, who should talk to him? Now, according to seniority, there were some very, 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 very old sages there. But there comes a 16-year-old boy out of the forest, naked. And he went and he talked to the king. And everybody was happy that he is the one who instructed the king. Why? Because they knew that he is the perfect person for this service. So sometimes we get stuck on ritual, or we get stuck on mechanics, and then we lose the subtlety of what is Krishna's plan, what is Krishna wanting to show. Sometimes Krishna wants to be the parent of his devotee, like the deity sometimes who performs the Shraddha sacrifice for his devotee. Sometimes Krishna wants to be the son. Sometimes Krishna is free to play in whichever way he wants. So if we want to evolve in our relationships, we should try to understand what is Krishna's plan and what role does Krishna want me to play here. In this way, we will not be limited. And in this way, we won't be disappointed that the world is not giving us the respect, the recognition, the whatever it is that we're expecting. Have you ever felt like that? I can get no respect. Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Because the world has a way to disappoint us. That's the job of the world. And the world is doing a good job. So But if we learn and we realize, I'm here to learn. And yes, there are the rules of the country and there are the rules of the culture that's prevalent in that certain area. And Varnashram is a wonderful system. But here, we hear of something higher, that is pure love, prema bhakti, which makes Vidura transgress those rules of seniority. And he goes, the Bhagavatam is not chronological, it is topical, which means it is by inspiration, because you can see it goes all over the place by the inspiration of the person who asks the questions. That's why historians can't figure it out. They think like this was written by different people at different times, or it's just being, they can't make it out. So your point is well taken, and we should be civilized. You know, you chant Hare Krishna for 50 years and then you become human. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And then you continue chanting Hare Krishna and you become a Vaishnava. But it's not a cheap thing to be a Vaishnava. It's not just an external. It's really to see everybody as part and parcel of Krishna and to respect them and to appreciate them. Yes, Prabhu. You had your hand up? No? Anybody else? Here in the front? Right here.
Hare Krishna. I have two questions which is related. Is it possible to, in some level, develop for a Kanishtadikari this vipralamba?
Can you speak a little closer to the mic and a little louder? Because it's hard to...
So is it possible to, in some level, develop this kind of vipralamba mood for a Kanishtadikari?
For a Kanishtadikari?
And also, I'm thinking of myself, and also, which could be the best tool for that kind of process? So,
well, Kanishtadikari is a beginner, but he has got adhikar, which means he's got the proper attitude. He Ishvara tadadineshu baliseshu vidachutra prema maitrika kripa upeksha yakaroti samadhyama. That is a madhyam bhakta. Now, prakrita bhakta is one who worships the Lord, but he kind of has a hard time dealing with people. So you can appreciate such a person that, yes, they're worshiping the Lord. That is great. But I would not maybe closely associate or emulate their behavior. But if I am just completely neophyte, then everybody is more advanced. Like, remember the day when we came to Krishna consciousness? I mean, everyone's a pure devotee, right? Right? Everybody's like, they're all demigods. They're all just like, no one's touching the ground, and you know, they're all like, yeah, my dandavats from all 10 directions. So I understand and I appreciate the sentiment, yet for practical matters, we should have a little bit of discernment. Discrimination. Because whoever we associate with, then naturally we will gravitate to that level of advancement. That's why Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita, that yes, a Kanishtadikari can also be a guru. Yet, he should primarily deal with new people and people on his level, and others who want to make further progress, they should have somebody who has more advancement. He's more advanced. But not that we disregard or we diminish or we disrespect somebody who is a Kanishtadikari. He's got adhikar. That's qualification. He appreciates the Lord, etc. Does that help?
the connection between vipralamba and this adhikar.
Vipralamba?
Yeah, vipralamba seva.
I don't know how you combine the two. I don't know how you...
Like in my mind, if somebody has this mood of vipralamba seva,
Yes.
seva in a distance, then it's a very elevated thing.
That's a very elevated thing. Yeah, that's not Kanishta Adhikari. That's definitely more advanced.
And what if we sometimes catch this mood for
A Kanishta Adhikari, it's all about physical association. If the guru is not here, the party's over. You've seen that scenario, right? Party's over, lights are out, everybody go home, do your own stuff, okay? See you again once the party starts. But this whole idea of Vani Seva, mission, the guru never leaves, he's always present, is not really there. It's mostly Jai Gurudev, Bye Gurudev. And they'll be ready to worship anybody as long as they get Ashirvat, and then they'll turn you into a bumper sticker. You know what it is, a bumper sticker? You end up like those babas, you know? On someone's bumper, you become just a bumper sticker. So we should be careful that we don't follow into these patterns. That's why we have the examples of Vidura, who was not a Diksha Guru, but he was certainly the Shiksha Guru of the whole world. We're studying Vidura. Vidura Shiksha is massive. So that is service and separation. That is true understanding of parampara. Last question? Yes. Oh, Srivas, and then over here for the close. Okay. My dear friend Srivas, we're so happy to have you back.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Thank you very much, Nirada Prabhu. Thank you for your gracious delivery. You brought up so many important points we have to think about. But I was just thinking about Vidura, that you mentioned that as Yamaraj, he could have settled the matter in the palace because he understood Krishna's plan. He acted accordingly. So in a position of a manager or an authority, can we follow that example? Can we say, okay, I understand Krishna's plan. So whatever is going wrong in the environment, I don't say anything.
No, we can't.
Thank you.
We can't. Because Krishna has put you in a situation of leadership, of management, and you have to take role. You have to assert your responsibility. If you're not responding properly, if you're not responsive, that means you're not responsible. Responsibility means the ability to respond. If you don't have the ability to respond, like right now, we have so many people who are not answering emails, not answering phone calls, not going to meetings, not assuming responsibility. So that means they're not responsible. So they shouldn't be in positions of authority. Simple as that. Now Vidura, he, by Krishna's plan, was put in the situation of an advisor. And he took that role. He did not get in there and get involved in the palace politics and try to straighten everybody out, because that was not his role. But if you are in a position of authority, in a position of responsibility, you should take that. But take it in a balanced way. Just like Prabhupada, he wrote to one temple president, he said, "Oh, you're a temple president now. You have to be very strict. And you have to be very liberal." How does that work? That is yours to figure out, yes. You have to be very strict because there are rules. There are the rules of the country, there are the rules of varnashram, there are the rules of spiritual science. At the same time, we have to be very liberal, we have to be very kind-hearted, very accommodative, and very inclusive to encourage people to take up the practice. Balance. Thank you, Srivas Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. We were talking about playing our role in life and playing it as per Krishna's will. So life does have a plan and we do go according with it. But sometimes your mind comes in between and you feel that your role was not just limited to what you're doing and you should have been doing more, and there is this constant internal conflict.
Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachang Sivaikunta Gunanuvarne Karauhrer Mandiramarjana Dishu Shrutim Chakurata Satkatoraye. It's been a while. So we should always keep our mind focused on Krishna. Then we'll be in tune with Krishna's plan. And we won't get hijacked by the whims of our mind. The mind always has a plan of its own. Have you noticed? Huh? Have you noticed how your mind has so many ideas and plans? Well, we should be fully focused on Krishna's plan. What is Krishna's desire here? What does Krishna want me to do? And we learn that by studying the Bhagavatam, by living the Bhagavatam, by distributing the Bhagavatam. By the way, tomorrow the marathon starts. In case you wondered. So go pick up your books today, okay? And Krishna has a plan. And if I'm willing to be part of Krishna's plan, then my mind will become Krishnaized. My mind will become spiritualized. Just like you can see Jananivas Prabhu, he moves around. And you can see he moves slower, but his mind is always with Radha Madhava. How to give pleasure to Radha Madhava. So that should be our mind. That should be our meditation. Like Radha Madhava Dasi, her mind was always how to cook, how to bake something exceptional for Radha Madhava's pleasure. And that's what she's doing right now. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.